Right. I believe, we probably bonded when I was about 19 years old, 18 years old when I met Vince and we're at TV or something. He was talking to me and my dad always taught me the same things. He was like, hey, Mike, look me in the eye when you're talking to me. And little things like that. And then there was another time when I was pushing cases during TV, working the crew and everything, and I was smoking a cigarette. You could smoke in the arenas back in them days. And then he comes through the curtain, and I just puffed a big cloud of smoke in his face, man, and he ain't smoking it. I looked at him, I froze like a son of a bitch. He looked at me with his eyes wide open. And I just threw the cigarette down, started jumping on it like goddamn cigarettes. Oh shit. I had to do something to pop him, and he kind of smirked, and then he gave me this long lecture for like 30 minutes. But
Wow.
we bonded like little things like that one. But Vince is great. He was a great boss, and he respected me as far as my refereeing. It's when you get put in a lot of positions, like myself, like Mike Chioda didn't go in these production meetings or didn't pitch to go, oh, can I have this match, Rock, or can I have this match, Hunter, or this and that. It was laid out in the production office. You had the top of the tops always thinking, okay, we're going to put this match together. Okay, now we got that match. All right, who's our referee? So they would decide that, whether it was Michael Hayes, Pat Patterson back then, Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, the whole, you know, Paul Heyman. I mean, guys that I go back years ago, even with. So it was cool. And then you'd have talent asking for you to do their matches. So that was huge, when you had talent asking for you, then this. And so it was a great honor, because I never try to sneak my way into certain fucking matches or anything. I didn't have to. You just do your job, do it right, and don't go into business for yourself as a referee, and just call it down the middle, and you'll get the spots if you're good enough.
Your first big storyline in the WWE involved Mr. America. Now, there's a lot of rumors still running rampant on the internet because the internet loves their rumors. And Mr. America, people still think it's Hulk Hogan. People think Hulk Hogan's Mr. America. Now, you were very close with Mr. America. And listen, just between me and you, nobody else
Right.
is watching, okay? Is Mr. America Hulk Hogan?
Listen, man, I can't violate the non-disclosure agreement that I signed in blood when I was 20 years old with WWE. So I can't. If you'd like further comment, I would suggest contacting my attorneys in terms of if Mr. America was indeed Hulk Hogan or not.
Now, if anyone knows lawyers in the WWE, Clarence Mason. I don't know if Clarence Mason is your lawyer or David Otunga. There's been a few lawyer characters, so maybe I can contact them and we'll see if I can get down to this nitty gritty. I thought I'd get the exclusive on finding out if Hulk Hogan was Mr. America. I'm sorry, this interview is over. I'm sorry, folks. But let's continue on though, because all of your major WWE storylines did involve your prosthetic leg, it seemed like. Now, do you believe you were hired for that reason, or because you are generating an inspiring story to a lot of fans out in the world, showing that, hey, listen, even in the face of adversity, you can still rise up and become something more than you thought you could be? Now, was it both of those reasons, or do you think it could be one or the other?
No, it was 100% both of those reasons. I wouldn't have been signed if I wasn't an amputee. There's no question, because I'm 6 feet tall and I weigh 160 pounds. So how many 6 feet, 160-pound wrestlers do you see in WWE? I mean, you see a few more now, but it was because of the inherent marketability of the gimmick, the fact that it's never been done before, the fact that this story has never been told before, and that's what we do in the wrestling business. We tell stories. So this variation of an underdog overcoming, using the power and love and magic of professional wrestling from a young age to help him overcome obstacles, to now, to see him living his dream. That story is, from an amputee's perspective, has never been told before. It just so happened the fact that I'm really good at what I do.
Right. Well, yes.
So that it was a good mix. And I'll tell you what, man, back in something like that wouldn't happen nowadays. especially if it's never been done before. Back in 2003, WWE, man, that was the wild, wild west. You know, like you have to understand the context of this. Uh, um, WCW was just bought out. ECW had folded. And so when before, a year or two before, you have 150 to 200 men and women under contract making a good living at professional wrestling. Now those spots were reduced to what, 50, 60, something like that, only in WWE. And so it was a time of transition, and it was a time of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't in the professional wrestling business, because obviously we were stepping away from the Attitude Era and what we were used to as we were growing up. You and I are probably around the same age. Probably. And so it was so for me, I got signed 20 matches in. So I didn't really understand the psychology aspect, or I didn't really understand what I had. And WWE didn't either, because there was no template for a one-legged professional wrestler. You know what I mean? Right. So we were literally week to week figuring out what works, what doesn't, just throwing it at the wall to see if it stuck. And I think we made some really memorable moments that I still get asked about to this day, and it's been 19 years, which is pretty insane to think about. And so I'm extremely grateful that they took an opportunity, that they rolled the dice. I don't think in today's super produced, super corporate environment that would happen. And so I think I came along at the right time for sure.
To Vince's credit, he never gave me specific orders about what to do. He pretty much gave me free reign. I mean, sometimes he would give me kind of an idea, Dr. Clown's going to come by with a pie, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, the night Sensational Sherry and Luna Vachon had the big knockdown, drag out fight. Oh, they're going to tear your clothes off. It's just, not a lot of notice, but at least he gave me some notice.
Right. It'd be a little awkward having your clothes just ripped off out of nowhere.
That particular show was one of my favorites, because I ran off. My patented finishing move was running from the arena in fear, and which I kind of invented at Madison Square Garden for about. It was an interview. I interviewed Giant Gonzalez in the ring, sold out Madison Square Garden, and Harvey Whippleman was trashing New York City, and I was defending New York City, and then I made some comment about the fake fur coat that Giant Gonzalez was wearing, and it was a thyroid case, and he gave me the Spock pitch and forced me down to my knees, and then that's where I invented the patented finishing move of running from the ring screaming, and so I brought that back, but I ran out. We were at the Mid-Hudson Civic Arena, because I think 1 week a month the Manhattan Center wasn't available. So we were at the remote, which is in Poughkeepsie, I think. And when I ran out, I went to the makeup room, and I said to the makeup artist, a lovely lady by the name of Sharon, said, "Can you make me look, like I've just been beaten up?" And she gave me the black eye, and I tore my shirt, and she gave me a little bit of a bloody nose, and I came staggering out, and spent the rest of the match dressed like that. But my favorite was the one that you mentioned where I imitated Vince.
Yes, yes. So is he clued in on this? Is he involved with this, or you just show up dressed as Vince one day?
No. See, this was the thing. Normally, like at the Manhattan Center, for example, there would be a pre-show meeting about an hour or so before camera, where he would discuss, the format, who was wrestling, how it was going to go, whatever little things, there'll be a promo for this, and there'll be something for that, and we'll have a headlock on hunger promo here. There'll be some Ico Pro references. There's all these, different things you go through it, and then this was a week that he was getting an award for the charitable work that the WWF at the time was doing, which is something that they continue to do to this day. I mean, and they don't really make a big deal about it. It's like I wasn't aware that they had done this when I was working with them, because it was almost like it was a foregone conclusion
Yeah.
that this is what was expected of you if you worked for the WWF, you worked for Vince, you had to dedicate a certain amount of your time to doing these charity events or I mean, they go to hospitals every single week, children's hospitals. They go to orphanages. They go, the amount of time and effort they spend, and it's mostly kids' charities, just making appearances and sitting with the kids and talking to them and letting them hold the belts and signing autographs, and taking pictures. So, I mean, they really do. I've never really been involved with an organization that is that dedicated towards giving back to the community. He was winning an award for that, and Macho Man was going with him. I guess he was going to be introducing Vince when Vince made his speech, whatever. So Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, two the late greats, were going to be taking Vince's place and Randy's place. And I think I might have ran it past Kevin Dunn, the producer. I don't remember if I did or not. But I asked Sharon, the makeup girl, if she could make me look like Vince, and she thought she could and give me extra big lips. And I rented a tuxedo and got some shoulder pads. Vince has got, shoulders like an aircraft carrier. I mean,
Yes.
he's built like a diamond. I mean, just and I just decided that I was really not going to do anything other than make fun of the way he spoke. So the impression was really me talking a lot of gibberish, but in that tone, it would be Monday Night Raw. And I just repeated that for the entire show, much to Gorilla Monsoon's bemusement, confusion, and I have to say a fair amount of anger. He was not all that happy with my impression. Heenan, on the other hand, thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life, and played into it. Meanwhile, the two of them together were an amazing comedy team. They could have been like the Abbott and Costello. They were really like the Abbott and Costello. They had such great chemistry together, and two lovely guys, especially Bobby. Bobby was very, very special man. He could not have been sweeter, kinder, more welcoming to me. I'm just plugging in my laptop here.
No, it's all good.
And Randy, the two of them could not be more welcoming or supportive, or I mean, Randy's, what do you need, brother? What can I do for you? He was all like, you can make fun of me if you want. Oh yeah. Whatever would help me out, and Bobby was the same way. I mean, Bobby would invite me down to Florida to visit him at home.
Wow.
I mean, just really, really people. And to a person, I mean, everyone I met were just really incredibly lovely people. I mean, Bam Bam Bigelow, here's this 400-pound biker with flame tattoos and his bald head, and called me sir. It was like you could not find, more gentlemen, and ladies, than the people who worked for Vince. And but making fun of Vince was one of my favorites. And the following week we were back at Manhattan Center, and it was the pre-show meeting, and everyone, because everyone went crazy for it. Like the crew went nuts because no one had ever dared make fun of Vince before, and I had really nothing to lose. I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be there much longer, so I figured I'd go for it. And everyone just thought it was the greatest, and so I show up, and then you could see the wrestlers are kind of looking down and smiling, and they don't want to say anything, and they're just kind of this nod, and so we're all in the room for the pre-show meeting, and Vince walks in, and there's a hush. Just the place goes silent, and he walks in and he just stares at me. He goes, "What? You're fired!" The place goes nuts. So the following week or 2 weeks later, I show up Manhattan Center for the show, and there's nobody there. There's a cameraman. The entire place is empty. Nobody in the stands. Empty.
Huh.
And they got a camera, and they're shooting me on camera. They were up and they didn't tell me that they were moving the venue. and set it up so that he could, play this joke on me, and that's how he got me back for the impression. So,
Wow.
yeah, he's a
Ah, ah.
practical joker on his own, I gotta say.
There's a story that I think you've confirmed before, but this is hilarious, and then I want to talk about it a little bit. There's a story that Vince McMahon forgot he even fired you.
Yes, so that's what the impression I got when he rehired me, because like this is the crazy story. Like I was just trying to get laid one night, and there was a pay-per-view close by, and this girl, I was trying to get tickets and do the whole thing. This is after I got fired. So like, oh yeah, you know, this chick was really hot. They're close by. Get her awesome tickets and everything. And when I showed up, like me and Vince crossed paths, and he's like, Jimmy, where the hell you been? I was like, you fired me? He's like, what? I did? What? And then it got busy, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna come back and talk to you. And then the days going by, and then the crazy story is that pay-per-view was when Vince was versus God.
Oh, Backlash
And
2006.
there you go. And then Shawn Michaels was wrestling against the Spirit Squad. Do you remember that?
Well, that's I think Vengeance 2006 when Triple H and DX returned. But if you know about Backlash, when it's Vince and Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and God, which is just like a spotlight on the ground. That's Backlash 2006 when the Spirit Squad come out and get involved. They do beat him up.
So that's the spot that they did with Shawn Michaels when the Spirit Squad came out there, lifted him up, went through the table. Shawn was like, I'm not sure if I want to do that, and then they say, oh, well, let's do it for you to make him feel comfortable doing it. And I'm sitting at catering, texting this hot chick, like, hey, yeah, I got tickets or whatever, and they come run to me, and I say, Jimmy, what are you doing? I said, I'm eating catering, it's like, they say, can we use you real quick? I was like, sure. And I go to the ring, and Spirit Squad, Shawn Michaels there, Vince, and Michael P.S. Hayes. And they say, Jimmy, you mind if we just throw you up and put you through this table? I'm like, okay, And so I'm getting ready to I get in the ring, and then Michael Hayes tells Vince, like, hey, Vince, you think Jimmy should do it? He's not under contract. He's like, oh, he should be under contract. Let him do it. And they threw me up 20 feet in the air, went through the table. Shawn asked me how it felt. I said, yeah, it wasn't too bad, So, and then he did that spot, and then he's like, went back to catering, lining things up for the night, and then they come to me again and say, hey, Jimmy, can you come to Columbus tomorrow for Raw? I was like, my mind, what I was going to do that night, it's like be up all night and do whatever. I was like, yeah, I guess, I'll come to Raw, it's whatever. So that plans got changed, and I went to Raw, and I showed up, and they say, hey, you mind doing a match on Sunday Night Heat with Charlie Haas? I'm like, sure, and then we did the match and had a really good match, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then after that, they was like, hey, can you come to Cincinnati tomorrow for SmackDown? I'm like, man, I want to get laid. Like, whatever. I was like, man, you guys ruined it. But whatever. So I was like, yeah, that was my hometown for a long time. So I was like, yeah, I'll come down. And when I walked in, they say, hey, come with me. And they offered me my job back. And then that night goes by, and then I'm kind of getting long-winded with this one, but like,
I love it. Keep going.
Okay, so the night goes by, and then I was like, man, I want to go thank Vince McMahon for hiring me again. This is my third run with the company. So I wasn't expecting getting hired back, and all that stuff. But this guy's hired me 3 different times, so I knock on his door in his office, and go in and say, hey, Jimmy, how the hell are you? So I say, oh, I'm good. I just been in Ring of Honor doing stuff, but I just want to say I appreciate you hiring me back. So, oh, I didn't know you was fired. So, but anyways, like the last time you was here as a Keo, you're this Korean dude with this Southern accent. I say, I don't have a Southern accent. I don't think. I do say y'all and that, but I just really just speak English instead of like Ultimo Dragon or Tajiri with broken English.
Yeah.
said when you was a kid, I didn't let you talk because you're this Korean dude with this southern accent. So this time we're gonna make a negative out of positive. I'm gonna make you the Asian redneck. That's funny, I was like, what? Okay, whatever. I don't care. As long as the check clears every Monday, I'm good to do whatever you want.
Right.
They said, Wang Yang, Jimmy Wang Yang. That rhymes. That's funny. I said, oh yeah, so like, cool, whatever you want, boss. Say, oh yeah, okay, cool. Get out of my office. So, all right, see you. So.
Yes, sir. Out of my office. Yeah. That's amazing. So, let's get to the real subject of this matter. Did you get laid? Did you get laid?
Eventually, I did.
Well, we all eventually do.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
That was a good night. Just saying that whole, doing everything that whole crazy weekend from the pay-per-view to Monday night or the Sunday night heat with Charlie to the SmackDown and getting my job back, this beautiful blondes, like everything was like a real good weekend for your boy Jimmy Yang.
It sounds like a great week.
Yeah.
How were you chosen for this?
Kennedy got in trouble.
That's it?
I have no idea. Literally, I have zero clue. I was told that day at 3:45 in the afternoon.
Wow. So a storyline that was building for, it seemed like months, at the last second, they decided who was going to be.
I mean, they might have known. They might have known the backup, but I didn't know until 3:45 that afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that experience of suddenly always being involved with Vince McMahon's segments and storylines, like, what does that do for someone's confidence in their boost and how they feel about the presentation?
Stephanie McMahon the next week talked to me and she goes, I hope you're ready because this is going to be the biggest part of your career. And I was like, let's go. Here we go. I'm ready. Let's do this. And man, I was on the 15th anniversary Raw. I was on 4 segments, including the opening and the closing camera shots. And then I did a pose down with Hulk Hogan on that show. I did a backstage segment. Like, it's insane. It's insane. A kid from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, that this happens to. It was awesome.
So I guess, it's funny, when I interviewed Kennedy, he was like, yeah, the night Kennedy also got injured before he won the Money in the Bank and he was injured. So then he told me you brought him to the hospital.
Yep.
So he was suggesting that possibly you kind of, ruined his career by saying, if I bring him to the hospital and be like, yeah, he's really injured, he's really hurt. But obviously that's not the case, is it?
No, I owe a lot to him. He trained me he trained me in professional wrestling. He put his name out there to get me a job with WWE. And we've always been very, very close.
He's, again, a super nice guy. When I talked to him, he was very nice. But he also did a pretty intense move to you off of a ladder at WrestleMania. Yeah,
man, that was excuse me. That was still one of the craziest like moments in Mania history, I guess. It's always like that year. It was in every package, every Mania package, every like hype reel for that Mania. It was an idea that just kind of came out. And it was incredible. I have a photo of it in my office. It was even more special because of the relationship Ken and I have.